Hello and welcome to the video. I thought I would look at a game that I found quite nice from the Julius Baer tournament, the online tournament everybody's talking about, but for the wrong reasons yet again. Before we get into the game, somebody posted this old picture on Reddit, and it's from the Reykjavik Open. And if you look closely, you should be able to recognize some people there. In the right corner, there's a Norwegian player that you should know, and second from the left on the bottom is a certain American you should also know, along with several strong grandmasters. Like on the left there's Julio Granda from Peru, Eric Hansen, the Chess Bra, Sebastian Mase, Jan Ludwig Hammer, Vladimir Hamidzevici, among others. Fun picture. This was taken during the Reykjavik Open a few years ago, where we tend to play football, or soccer as Americans call it. We play soccer. Of course, no, we play football. But on to the game, and Anish Giri against Hans Niemann. And funnily enough, after the whole situation, Anish Giri said that he tended not to worry too much about Hans. He said he never did that against me because he usually plays very badly. And let's see if that was the case in their matchup here at this online tournament. Anish Giri with the white pieces. He opens with the English opening c4, e5, knight c3, and bishop b4. We've seen this in many games, I think, including Hans Niemann against Caruana, if I remember correctly. And Giri, immediately plays a rare move here, queen to b3. Perhaps getting Hans out of preparation, I don't know. But queen b3, obviously we attack the knight, and we're not going to allow the double pawn that black is trying to inflict upon us. Knight c6. Now, if we're not careful, there could be tactics like here. We can't take because of check, so no need to allow the knight into d4. Although, okay, we can play queen d1, but e3, stay safe, and knight g to e2. And it's clear that white is trying to win back some time here by playing a3, which he does. And black now takes on c3. I'm wondering, there are not too many games here. I mean, black has retreated bishop e7, bishop c5, when maybe, white has to lose some time with the queen. But probably nothing too serious. But in the game, Niemann took on c3, and now white has avoided the double pawn, so he's quite happy to gain the bishop pair here. And generally when this happens, black tries to open up the position in the English opening. But he can't do that here, so actually, despite the queen looking a little bit silly because many times you want to be pushing this pawn, it also serves a function because we're stopping black from opening up the position too early. And despite it sounding like, okay, if you have the bishop pair you want to open the position, when you give up the bishop pair, usually like in this position, you have a slight lead in development because you have two knights out, you're already castled. So d5 and trying to open stuff up is generally what happens when you try to use the lead in development. But here, no such thing. So b6, bishop e2, castles. So now white is catching up in development, and black plays e4. And I'm not too sure about this move because white is able to challenge this pawn immediately. If it takes knight e5, of course we keep the bishop pair, bishop to e2. And now it seems like black is lacking a little bit, in central control. He doesn't have pawns controlling the center. And queen c2, now white takes over this e4 square, not allowing black to do anything fishy on the e4 square. And b3. So it's starting to look like a very comfortable position for white, where the bishop pair will start to enjoy itself. Now black is very solid, mind you, very solid, but the problem is he lacks active counterplay and some central stability with the pawns. So knight g6, and Anish plays very, very snug here. He plays f3, and we see his idea after knight h5, trying to occupy this square. He plays rook f2, and the idea is simply to pull back with the bishop, keep the bishop pair, just slowly but surely build up and make the bishop pair count. Because you can take your time a little bit, because black again is lacking active counterplay. he doesn't have any pawn breaks that to worry white. So knight e6, and white just keeps building up. Bishop e3, get the bishop out, queen d7, rook to d1, f6. Again, black is very solid, and he's following the Capablanca rule. He's putting the pawns on dark squares when he has a light squared bishop. But he doesn't have good central control. And the knights, they lack an outpost, where they feel safe. Both of these squares, white can eventually push them away with b4 or f4. So we're lacking squares for the knight. And Giri now takes away one of the squares. He plays b4, takes, queen f7, and f4 takes away the other square. And it seems like white is keeping good, good control here. Bishop and the knight are covering the pawn. The queen and the knight are covering this pawn. These are not under attack, and this one is protected by the bishop. So looks like white is keeping good control here. And now he keeps pushing, f5. If black was able to put a knight here, it would not be as good. But if you go move back, white was actually threatening to put a pawn on this square, and then he would win one of the knights. So one of the knights had to move, and moving this knight means that you don't have immediate access to the e5 square, so white pushes, knight retreats, and c5. Now, having caught up in development, it's white who's trying to open up the position because he has the bishop pair. We have trades, and Niemann tries to kind of keep it close with d5. Now, having played a fantastic game up to this point, Giri, lets the foot slightly off the gas here with knight to b5. He could have probably just taken the pawn on d5, and the main point is that if you take with the bishop, I can take with the rook. I get two pieces for the queen, because you can't take on account of bishop c4, and the pieces are lined up, and you lose the queen. So e takes d5 would have been strong. Knight b5 gave black a chance to get into it, but he would have to see some very, very nice tactics. And well, if black had played that, maybe we would be suspicious about the game. I don't know. But black could have played bishop c6 here, with the grand point being that it looks like we're hanging this, but now we have knight takes f5, opening up an attack on the bishop. And if you take on f5, we take the knight. And note we're also hitting this. So white has to react. And bishop f4 looks like, okay, we remove the bishop, we protect the knight, and we keep an attack on the rooks. So it's understandable that Giri missed this. It's also understandable that Niemann missed this for black, because now he has knight e3 and he's back in the game. Bishop has to take, and we can take the knight. Now this would have been something to raise suspicion, definitely. But okay, he played knight c6, a human decision, but now white is taking over again. He takes at d5. Hans's idea was knight b4, and you win the pawn back on d5. But however, after bishop to f4, there's a lot of pressure, and Hans couldn't handle it. He played rook a to d8, but now rook f to d2, increasing the pressure. And you are kind of forced to defend here with c6, but that allows knight to d6, queen d7. And here Giri goes for it. He plays rook takes a d5. A double exchange sacrifice. After pawn takes, he takes again with the rook. So black can again take on d5, but he didn't. He went for, some desperation with g5, but we can see that easily that bishop takes d5. You either have to give up tons of material, or if you move the king, you just get mated. Note that it's not smothered mate, but it's a very nice mate nonetheless. So Hans tried g5, but okay, it opens up a square for the bishop, for the king, but there's knight takes e8, more tactics by Giri. Note that this check is super important. After bishop takes d5, knight takes f6, king g7, and queen d4, another nice move. Now the queen is hanging, and there's a discovery. Queen gets out of the way, but still there's a discovery. We win the bishop on d5. And with the king so wide open, the two pieces and the pawn for the rook is dominating. And like I said, the king is just too wide open. Knight e6, queen d1. too many ideas in the air for white here. There's this. And in fact, after rook a8, the queen is trapped after bishop d3, and then Niemann resigned. No square for the queen, and you can't take this because of the simple tactic bishop g6 and moving the queen. So pretty nice game by Giri, and yeah, I don't know. Did Niemann play very badly like he usually does against Giri? Funny quote, but you know, things happen. Yeah, I have some more games I like to look at from this tournament, so probably I'll see you soon. Stay tuned. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.